All right. Hello. We are back. This is video number 3 with myself, Emmi Fortin, breakup coach, and Michelle Sugiyama, who has her company called Mindful Eating. And we have 2 other videos that we've already created for you. So go back and check those out. We're here talking to you today about how the stress of a breakup or a relationship that's maybe driving you nuts, how that can affect your lifestyle. And so far we've talked about how it can affect your eating habits. That was in video number 1, if you want to go back and check that out. The second video, we talked about how this stress can affect your sleep and your rest cycles. And today we're here to talk to you about a third way that your lifestyle can be impacted and some tips around that. So before we jump in, I'm here with Michelle Sugiyama. Hello again. If you want to just quickly introduce yourself, if people are new to this video, what do you do, Michelle?
Hi, everybody. Michelle Sugiyama here. And, you know, I didn't mention this in the other 2 videos, but one of my inspirations is my 101-year-old grandmother. She's passed, but she lived 101, and her mantra was health is number one.
Mm.
And, that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, because it is so important that we really put ourselves first. Because if we don't have our health, we could end up, really having nothing, right? We think about Olivia Newton-John, or think about of Steve Jobs, right? They had so much more to contribute to the world, and they died young, right? You could be the smartest, the most talented, the richest, you know, the person with the best and most awesome family, but if you don't have your health, you can't contribute to the world. You can't enjoy time with family and friends. So that's why I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, to really get people towards their best and healthiest self.
Yeah. Oh, that I love that story that you shared. That's amazing, first of all, that she lived to be that age. And something that you had mentioned in our other videos too is that you help people. I mean, lots of people know what they should be doing, right? With all of the Googles, it's not, rocket science to always know what you should be doing. But you said you also help people actually get to that point of doing the things, right?
Yep.
So today, well, in this video, we're going to talk about how being overstressed, particularly in insanely hard, overwhelming times like a breakup or relationship stress, that really impacts many areas of your lifestyle. And so we're going to talk about how mindfulness, and this is a word that is all over the place. I'm sure you hear it all the time, kind of abstract. So we're going to give you some tangible examples of what that looks like in different areas of your life. So I'm going to kind of start us off by saying we're talking about different areas of life, and one is what are your constant thoughts? So, one example of being mindful is throughout your day. You can even keep a journal or maybe keep a list in your phone, so you always have it with you. Just throughout your day, just start becoming aware and noticing what you're thinking all throughout your day. Your self talk. Is it thoughts about yourself? Is it thoughts that you're having about other people? Is it thoughts that you're having about situations? Are they keeping you thinking about the past, or are they more forward thinking about where you want to be? And really, mindfulness is just that first step of awareness. And once you're aware of things, then you can make choices that support where you want to be going. But a lot of times we're just doing things on autopilot, right? So that kind of segues into some of the tips that you want to give us today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that what you said about, being present, being aware, because it's all about, just being in the moment, being here and now, not in the past, not worrying about the future, right? Being present in the moment without criticism or self judgment, right? Because we oftentimes just judge ourselves, we criticize ourselves, and we go into, these negative emotions because we're even just judging ourselves, right? And as far as breakup goes, we're thinking about, I could have done this or I should have done that. Maybe it would have helped save the relationship. So there's a lot of reasons why we need to stay present in the moment. And then a lot of times, not even dwell on that emotion or what you're thinking, but just let it go by like a cloud,
Mhm.
right? Because I used to meditate a lot. I was in a Buddhist meditation type of community, and we would meditate. But we have these thoughts that come and go within 10 seconds. Sometimes we're always thinking, but then just realize, think about it, and then just let it go.
Yeah, and you
So
don't have to judge yourself for it being
exactly,
there. Because
exactly.
those examples you gave, I hear that a lot from the clients that I work with, those kinds of things, just spiraling into all the things you could have done or wondering why, or um, just going down that path of repetitiveness that's not helping you.
Yeah, the rabbit hole, right? Going down the rabbit hole multiple times and multiple times a day. And then that triggers us maybe to eat or grab something,
Mhm.
right? Because we have these negative based emotions that really stress us out and cause us to either grab food, like like I was talking earlier, grab food, or not grab food, or just, you know, have all these maybe butterflies or this stress in our gut that causes us not to be hungry.
Yeah. So let's give people another few tangible examples of what mindfulness looks like
Mhm.
throughout their day or throughout the activities that are going on throughout the day. Do you have any specific examples that you could throw out to us?
Yeah. So when it comes to food, I'm presuming we want to talk about food, right? Um, I think, as I said in the first video, mindful eating or mindfulness when it comes to food is really about before we put anything in our mouth, right? It's about thinking about, am I truly hungry? So it's being present, thinking about, your thoughts and how your body feels, right? And then just taking that few seconds to become aware and ask yourself, am I really hungry? Do I need to eat anything? Because there's so many triggers that we have experienced or like that has caused us to eat, right? But there's also physical triggers, right? Like, am I seeing something that's causing me to think that I'm hungry? Am I smelling something? Is it because I haven't had enough sleep? Right?
Hmm.
Because a lot of times when we're fatigued, we want to eat, especially high sugar foods to give us energy, but
Hmm.
then we crash. Is it that we're thirsty? Like there's so many triggers. Like we talked about emotional eating earlier. So just to name a few other things, right? So to be mindful is to once again notice your body, mind, and spirit and make a decision with that knowledge.
Yeah, it's like taking the thoughts you're having about the food or about eating and then just bringing it back to your physical body and doing a check-in. That pause in between you actually reaching for the food versus doing a check-in, right?
Mhm. Exactly.
I think that's really great advice. Because I feel like I even have there's so many times where you walk over to the fridge and you open the door, you're just kind of staring in there. You're like, like nothing really looks good. I feel like I want to eat something, but if I were to really check in with myself, I'm probably just bored or I'm probably just like looking for comfort in the moment and probably not actually hungry. So when you were talking, I was thinking, wow, that actually would be a great choice to just like drink a full glass of water and then see how you feel.
Mhm.
Am I hungry after that? Or was I thirsty? Or was that just a comfort thing or a bored thing?
Absolutely. And, one of the things that I love to do is just unpack all of the reasons why we grab food when we're not truly hungry. Because then you're becoming aware of all of those triggers, known or unknown, and tips that you can do to move yourself in a different direction, in a healthier direction. Right. So when back in the day when I was in corporate America, I would have to travel a lot. And I was in a failing marriage. I was stressed out because of my job, right? I was in hotel rooms all the time. I wasn't eating healthy. And, by one of my big breakdowns was being in a hotel ordering takeout or, room service because I didn't like to eat in the, restaurants by myself, and just crying with every single bite of chocolate cake.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
yeah, it was and it was one of those moments where you're flooded with emotions and you're just using food to comfort yourself, right?
Mhm.
And so once again, it's that wellness wheel that I talked about in the first video, right? Just figuring out where you are in each dimension of your wellness. And it's not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to have this perfect round wheel. It's going to be bumpy, right? But when you're aware of your other wellness dimensions that could be affecting your eating or your physical dimension, then you can start making these conscious choices and decisions to get you back to the road to where you want to be, your best self.
Yeah, and using your example of the chocolate cake, right? It's if you can implement this idea of mindfulness in that moment and knowing, okay, this I'm doing this for comfort,
Mhm.
then you can choose in that moment to instead maybe choose a strategy that is self-soothing, that's like a more healthy way rather than looking for outward comfort. Um, and we talked a little bit also about you had talked about walking as being, like, okay, go walk before you grab some food. Another thing though is, are you being mindful while you're moving? So, let's say you go to the gym, you're in this class, you're on the elliptical machine, whatever, while you're doing it, are your thoughts going in a million miles of like, okay, this is all the stuff I have to get done. These are all the crazy things that I'm thinking. Or are you present with your body as you're moving? And I think that's a huge piece as well.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So let's see, mindfulness. We've talked about mindfulness in eating. We've talked about mindfulness in movement. Is there any other kind of aspect of lifestyle that maybe we can give as far as a tangible example that you can think of?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, it's such a broad, like mindfulness is so broad, right? We have to really think about, what are the areas in my life where I need to be more mindful,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like there could be mindfulness at work, right? Mindfulness for sleep, mindfulness in relationships, in social circles,
Hmm.
right? And a lot of times when you go through these really bad breakups, right? Either sometimes you hide and you don't want to go anywhere and you just want to sit in your house and watch TV and not talk to anybody. Or you might have moments of like, oh my God, I need to be with people.
Hmm.
I recall, like when I was going through those situations, a lot of times it's like, I can't be with myself. I need to be with
Oh yeah.
others constantly, or I need to talk to somebody. I need to go somewhere and I need to be around people, right? So there's these, two opposites of the same coin, right? And we can oscillate between that. So it's about mindfulness, about, you know, take a moment, be present, deep breathe, right? Instead of making these reaction type of reaction actions,
Yeah.
it's like just center yourself,
Hmm.
right? And there's so many ways to really do that. Meditate. We didn't even talk about meditation. We talked about deep breathing. We didn't even
Hmm.
talk about meditation. And that's an awesome way. But sometimes people just can't meditate. They're like, I've tried it so many times and I can't do it. Right. So back down a little bit if that's stressing you out, because you don't want to add more stress.
Right.
And then go to the deep breathing or go to the yoga, right? Go to something that's going to help you to recenter. For me, it's hiking. Like if I go out into nature and I go up to this certain hill and I can see the city and I just take these deep breaths and I put my arm out like in these, power poses, I just feel so much better.
Mhm.
My whole body's smiling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those examples that you gave. And even, being mindful while you're hiking, rather than letting yourself think the whole time you're hiking, it's like noticing how the air feels. on your body, or, counting how many tree stumps you come across. I mean, that might be ridiculous, but, it's like, it's keeping your attention on your senses and your body and what you're experiencing in the moment. And in nature is, of course, the best place to do that, because it's just got its own healing properties in general.
Right.
But
Absolutely. I mean, there's this thing called forest bathing where you go into nature. It doesn't have to be a forest, but it's called forest bathing, where you're actually going into, this beautiful scenery or wherever you're, hiking or walking, and then just bringing it all in. Like you said, be present, be
Mhm.
present. Feel the air against your skin, right? Smell the beautiful aroma of, wherever you are. Maybe there's a lot of flowers or something, or you can smell pines, right? And notice the scenery and the landscape and the sunset and the beach, or whatever. But just be present and just appreciate, have gratitude.
Yeah, and I find myself needing to practice mindfulness when I'm walking also, because so first of all, I'm not a hiker. I appreciate your example, and a lot of people are going to resonate with that. But for all the peeps that don't, I'm more of like a walker, like walk around the pond kind of girl. But I do notice that on some days, like I just want to, like, oh, I want to listen to this podcast while I'm walking, or I want to, think about all these things while I'm walking. But that's really not being, which is okay. But if you're trying to be mindful, sometimes I will make an intention that, okay, today my walk is going to be completely about mindfulness, and I'm going to just like notice how pretty the water looks on the pond. I'm going to notice what all the ducks are doing. I'm going to say hi to all the adorable dogs that are, being walked by me. So it definitely takes many different forms, but um why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have coming up at the end of September that can help people with all of the things we've talked about in all three videos?
Sure. So I have a 6-week series all about mindful eating, and they're not long sessions. They're, max 40 minutes, because I know people don't have a lot of time to sit there in a virtual, sitting setting. But, this 6 weeks is really about, like I said, unpacking all the reasons why we eat when we're not hungry, all of those eating triggers, right? And really easy, practical tools that you can implement into your busy lifestyle. And then we go into, what is it to be a mindful eater? What are those characteristics? And what can we do to practice some of these, right? When you were talking about being mindful in your environment, you can be very mindful when it comes to food, be very present, right? Slowing down, appreciating, noticing. Because a lot of times we eat, take a couple bites of food, and down the hatch. But are we really truly appreciating everything about that food? Right.
I'm
And then
giggling because I always tell my boyfriend, I'm just like amazed. Like I watch my boyfriend eat, and he's like scarfed up his entire dish before I've even like completed 2 bites of my food. So I totally hear you on that example.
yeah, it's like, you go out to dinner, right? And that, I mean, dining out is expensive now, right? A main dinner can cost
So
you
expensive.
$40, right? Or more, depending on if you're eating, in San Jose or New York or whatever. But it's
Mhm.
like, did you enjoy that $40 dish?
Right. Yeah,
Because
let's
we
make the most
don't.
of this. Like, I want
I,
to sit at this table for like 3 hours.
yeah. And there's so many reasons to eat slowly is so much more healthier for you. It's
Mhm.
just not about enjoying too, but it's better for like digestion, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, we unpack all those reasons. We go over your, wellness wheel, which is so important, just to think about your wellness holistically,
Mhm.
not just I need to eat better or I need to sleep better, right? But why are some of the reasons why I'm not sleeping good, why I'm not eating good, why I
Mhm.
don't have time to exercise. But yeah, and just so many practical tips and tools to implement right away. Like literally after each session, you will have tips and tools you can implement as soon as you shut your computer down.
That sounds awesome. And so how can people sign up for that? with you,
Sure.
Michelle?
Yeah. So the easiest way would just to go on the website www.mindful-eating.com, mindful-eating.com, and there will be a tab for events, and then you can easily click on that and then just sign up.
Nice. And that's starting a specific date or just end of September?
Yeah, end of September. I haven't picked a specific date yet, but I'm thinking probably a Wednesday or a Thursday evening.
End of
But
September.
you're on the East Coast, right? I'm
Yes.
on the West Coast. So
Yeah. So people will just have to remember that 3 hour time difference.
yeah,
You're 3 hours ahead of Boston time. So
right. And I want to make it, convenient for your clientele on the East Coast. I don't want to make it too late in the evening.
yeah, yeah, I think as long as people can get in touch with you, guys can kind of work that out. So both of us are coaches. Guys, it is, and I used to be a teacher, it is back to school time, which means it's like get your shit in order time, right? And for adults, for kids, for everyone. And so, you have the opportunity to really start to get your whole life in order. We talked about lifestyle, all of the different areas. If you're going through a stressful breakup relationship, come see me. I have a 12-week program. If you want to also get all of your goals in order, which I know is most people have the goal of getting more healthy, right? Go see Michelle. She's got an awesome 6-week program. So you've got lots of resources. I hope you enjoyed these videos, and feel free to message either one of us with questions or comments. And Michelle, thank you so much for joining me on these.
Well, thank you, Emmy. It's just been an honor and a pleasure for me to be here with you for these 3 videos. And I thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys,
Hey.
make sure you reach out and check us out.